Kendra from Crafty Kendra, and today I'm going to show you how to make this scrapbook page. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do is bring in our scrapbooking base, and it's a 6" by 6" piece of crumb cake cardstock. And we're going to be using the Travelogue stamp set today. I'm going to get out this little stamp that has the 4 images in circles and my crumb cake ink pad. What we're going to do is we're just going to create a little texture on our background by repeating this stamp, but we're going to repeat it a little bit different than normal. I've gone ahead and I've started at the bottom, and what I'm going to do is I've stamped all 4, and then I'm going to stamp it again, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move up, but this time I'm only going to stamp 3 of them. I'm going to go up again and stamp 2, back to 4. This time I'm only going to stamp 1, and so on up the page, just randomizing it. That way I have a different image in each line, and it's not a set pattern. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ink up my stamp and come in on these lines and just fill them in and carry them as far as I want on whichever ones I want to carry over. Okay, and that just gives it a fun, different pattern. I'm going to go ahead and take that stamp and that ink pad and set it aside. And we're also going to set this aside. We're going to bring in a scrap piece of very vanilla cardstock and the snapshot stamp from that stamp set, along with our Bashful Blue ink pad. And what we're going to do is we're just going to ink up that stamp in our Bashful Blue. We're going to stamp it onto our cardstock, just like that. Then we're going to bring in our 1 1/4 inch punch. And this image is actually smaller than this punch, but I'm going to stick it in and line it up with one of the corners so that I just have a little bit of a border around this outside rim, and punch. Then I'm going to take my snail and put a little bit on the back, and then attach it to a Post-it, or you can also attach it to some typing paper. Then what you're going to do is you're just going to take the punch in and slide it, and then line it up in the other corner and punch. And that way you have it perfectly squared around and it's smaller. The next thing we're going to do is bring in some not quite navy cardstock and punch out a full 1 1/4 inch circle. Then what we're going to do is take our cutter kit and rough up the edges of this 1 1/4 inch Night of Navy square. Okay, and after we've roughed up the edges, we're just going to run our fingers along it to get off the excess. I'm going to put a snail across the whole back of our very vanilla snapshot stamp, and then we're just going to center it into that little square. Then I'm going to bring in a 3.5 by 5 1/4 inch piece of Old Olive cardstock. what we're going to do is we're going to rough up both of the 3.5-inch sides and then just one of the 5.25-inch sides. Okay, take off the excess and set it aside. Next thing we're going to do is bring in a piece of Daffodil Delight, and this piece measures 3 3/4 by 5. And we're going to take our Daffodil Delight ink pad. Just opening it up, we're just going to take it and randomly turn it and tap it along our piece just to give it a little bit of texture, so you can see. And you're just going to take it and drag it along the edges to darken them up. Okay. Next you're going to bring back in your scrapbooking base and your crumb cake pad, and you're going to do the same thing along its edges. Just like that. So it also has the same distressed look. Now to start putting the page together, we're going to bring in our striped grosgrain ribbon, and it's in pumpkin pie. What we're going to do is we're going to cut off about 6 inches. And on one of the ends we're just going to come in and make a few cut marks going in just about 1/8 of an inch. Then we're just going to drag our nail along that edge to kind of tatter and tear it up. Alright, now we're just going to take our snail and run some snail along the edges. Okay, and on the edge that we tattered, we left about 1/4 inch without snail. We're just going to lay it down onto our cardstock, leaving about 1.25 inch gap. And then when we get over to this right side, we're just going to flip our scrapbooking page over and press it down so that way it's just there. Next thing we're going to do is take our piece of Daffodil Delight, flip it over, and run snail on the back of it. Bring in our old olive piece and line it up onto the left side of our Daffodil Delight and press it down. Flip it over and attach snail to the back of it. Bring back in our scrapbook page. We're going to center this on the right side, leaving about 1/4 inch gap. Pressing it down. Going to bring back in that little piece that says snapshot. And using 2 dimensionals, one in either corner. You're going to want to make sure that you put them underneath the S and the T. So here's the S and here's the dimensional, here's the T and here's the dimensional. That way whenever you put it down on this corner, you can still take and slide a picture behind without a dimensional being in the way. And that finishes off our scrapbook page. I hope you guys enjoyed, and that's all I have for you today. Thank you.